It's back from the USSR. Why can't I put two S's? USSR. CHRIS. USSR.
Just spell your name.
Yeah, I have to spell my name.
Okay, this guitar was made in the Soviet Union.
Say what?
I know, the 70s, the late 70s. This is a Ural 650. And there were only 25,000 of these guitars made. And then in the 80s, they made a ton of them. But in the late 70s, they only made a certain amount of them. This is in the Soviet Union, USSR. It was like blue jeans. Serious.
Ural was like blue jeans?
It was like kind of forbidden. It was representative of Western culture. They were scared it was going to lead to a revolution.
Oh, so like the presence of the electric guitar in Mother Russia
Yes.
was intrusive.
Was like the same way that blue jeans were. You know,
Right,
how
yeah,
every,
yeah.
I don't know if you remember that, but like every USSR teenager wanted to get American blue jeans, and there was a hot black market for blue jeans because they represented.
Hot black market for blue jeans?
Yeah, exactly.
In the red
In the red state.
country. I guess it's
yeah.
not a red state. That's
No,
a different
yeah.
deal.
But
Completely unrelated.
So in the same way that blue jeans represented Western ideals and American pop culture and everything, the electric guitar did. And the electric guitar did that around the world.
Right, yeah.
You know, when the 60s hit and the Beatles and electric guitar, it represented revolution, rock and roll, and like anti-establishment and the whole deal. You know?
Yeah, it sounds that way.
Yeah.
It still does.
Yeah. I mean, and the guitar still embodies that.
Yeah.
You know, it embodies kind of a sexiness, and it embodies a rebellion, revolution. You know, so you know, I'm a big fan of electric guitars, obviously, but
Yeah.
but this one is a Ural, and most of these things are terribly made. So like the Soviet Union, imagine, was way behind on because they didn't have access to anything. The engineers there, they were blocked off from the world. And while Leo Fender and all these people were making these amazing guitars in the United States, like Russia was not connected to that at all. Europe was. In Europe, there's great guitar makers in Europe. I mean, the Spanish guitar comes from Europe, you know, from Spain.
The band
But,
Europe had electric guitars.
Right, yeah, exactly. And
Coincidence?
Asia also had electric guitars.
They did.
The band Asia. The band America also had electric guitars.
Whoa.
And they had the horse without the name, right? The guy, you know that.
The horse without the name?
Yeah. But these Russian kind of guitar makers were trying to catch up on the quick on how to make an electric guitar. And there's this Ibanez guitar that is exactly this body shape, but it's flipped. Like the long horn is down here versus up here. They just flipped the design and made it. And when we got this guitar, dude, instead of this 1/4-inch input right here, which, you know, a 1/4 inch is how every guitar you'd plug in a 1/4-inch cable and play, it had like this it looked like a MIDI input.
Yeah, it was really weird.
Yeah, it's like multi-pin input. And this is before MIDI existed, but
Yeah.
it was like their technology on how to plug in. And apparently all these buttons, which there are many, were able to control amp effects through that multi-pin system. So you could turn on like chorus or flanger or
So
something.
what year is this?
70s,
Okay,
late
well,
70s.
that's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. So in some ways it was like revolutionarily ahead of its time, because that's what guitars are trying to do now. It's like use MIDI to control multi-effects and you know, all that. Everybody's into, you know, pedals and different effects and computers in their music and stuff.
But yeah, that definitely was alive in the 70s too, though.
Well, yeah, that's true, yeah. But it was way kind of behind in the sense that they just didn't know how to make guitars. And they were throwing them together, and it was under kind of secretive circumstances. I mean, they had to be careful. The state could shut them down at any moment. And so when we got this guitar, it was completely unplayable. The MIDI thing, of course, you couldn't even plug it in. But once we changed it out for a 1/4 inch, and I've got the original thing I'm going to keep with the guitar. But the action was so high. And the action, you know, is the distance between the strings and the, you know, the strings and the fretboard. Somebody might know that, might not know that. And if it's too high, you can't press it down, you know.
Yeah.
It was so high, dude. It was just the way the neck was originally set. So the guitar, the neck was set at an angle like this, and it was like up here. You couldn't even press the strings down to the thing. So
Do you think that Russian operatives were trying to remove the fingers of Americans? Like
yes, I do.
shipping these guitars over here?
Yes, and they, you know, they didn't really get out of Russia at the time. Like every Soviet teenage boy that got a hold of a guitar, it was going to be a Ural, and it was usually an '80s, early '80s model Ural, because there were only 25,000 of the '70s ones with these. Anyway.
I want my Ural.
Yeah. Anyway, what we did was we changed out the input and we reset the neck to make it completely playable. And now you've got all these buttons that you can push to get different sounds. You mind if I experiment with the sounds here?
Do it.
So
The body is very heavy. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good thing.
and it's crazy that you got all this the language that I can't understand. It's not in our alphabet, you know, and it's really cool to see all that.
If you can read that, you summon a Russian demon
Yeah, right.
into the guitar.
If you read it 3 times, it's
Yeah.
Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuices.
So like you got so a real jazz thing, and then more rock and roll. You know, it's and then I don't even know what most of these.
There
do.
are a lot of buttons.
Yeah,
folks.
and a lot of them were supposed to control outboard effects through the multi-pin system. So they don't really do much on the guitar now, but we made it really playable, and to me, it's a super cool collector's item because of. I mean, first of all, it's got neat stuff. Like these are cool looking,
And these are original?
yeah, all this original, man.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Because those are very, like, fine looking. It looks like they would break easily.
Yeah, I know. They look nice. They look like upscale.
But yeah, it's really
They
cool.
look like Grovers, but they're not Grover tuners. You know what? There's holes in here. These actually are not original, dude. I'm just now. I can't believe I haven't-
Exposed.
I know. I just can't believe I haven't looked at that. There's other holes in here, so it looks like these might not be original. Huh. But anyway, it's got this pretty complex bridge system for a cheap guitar. And it has we've got the tremolo arm on it too, but it just hangs loose. You know, it's one of those that you have to hold while you play, like the surf guitarist would hold.
Yeah, that's why it hangs loose.
Yeah, hang loose, dude. Yeah. But to me, it's a great one for the collection because I'm fascinated with the social, historical aspect of how rock and roll helped topple the Soviet Union.
Yeah, it's interesting, and we find that with a lot of these, the way that electric guitars are very cultural touch points. I mean,
Yeah.
they all reflect, not just in design. It's interesting, there's all these stories around them that led to the decisions made around designing them and around what they
Absolutely.
did and stuff. It's crazy.
Absolutely, yeah. And you'll see these with different, the pick guards are always something real flashy. Like this is a red sparkle pick guard, there'll be like a green pick guard or something. They just, that's the way they've kind of made them different. And they were
We
all-
like red sparkly.
Yeah.
Sorry,
It's Rocky IV.
Yeah.
This guitar reminds me of Rocky IV.
Me too.
So anyway, I think it's super cool, and I think that Stalin would have hated it, so that makes me like it even more.
But secretly, like,
But
probably
secretly loved it.
You know,
yeah.
like
You know he had one.
It's thrilled and been like, yes.
Even though he was dead when he made it, he still had one.
His little ghost head was poking up out of the grave and like checking it out.
He was
And,
like,
when,
sweet.
when nobody was looking, and being like, sweet.
So that is the story of the Ural. Again, Soviet Union, Russia was late to getting in the electric guitar craze because of their oppressive government disallowed it. And when they jumped in, what they made were these Urals. And,
Russia. Come on.
And again, there's only 25,000 of these late 70s Urals, and we've got one of them here at the local pickup. So we're stoked to have it, and we'll be passing it on soon. Get it out in the market, get somebody else to play it. And yeah, I guess that's it, man.
Ural!
All right, cool. And and these have single coil pickups. There's 3 of them. You can switch back and forth, turn them on and off with these things, with these buttons up here. And they're real hot. They'll get real noisy. If you turn up loud, it's like before you even play a note, you know.
Yeah.
But it's got a cool indie quality, you know.
Yeah.
Especially since it's just so obscure that it came from the Soviet Union.
Yeah.
That makes for a good indie guitar.
Yeah, definitely.
So, cool. All right, well, that's the Ural 650. Hope you guys can find one for yourself if you like one. And we'll see you next time on the local pickup.
Ural!
You're doing the under the leg fart noise thing. I love it, dude. That was awesome.
I don't know what I was doing. That was from you.